What's up, everybody? Mark with Coffee and Toys here. It is Marvel Monday. That means we are reviewing the next issue in my review series over G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. That's right, every Monday I'm reviewing one or more issues of the original G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero run that went from 1982 to 1994. And yeah, today we are up to issue number 10. We have broken into the double digits, folks. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. But of course, before we start in on this issue, let's talk about coffee. And of course, coffeebrandcoffee.com is who I get my coffee through, and you should too. Not only do they have great coffee, they also have great gear. The hat you guys see me wear most time on the channels, this coffee mug, they're both $10 on their site right now. Couple that with my discount, save yourself 5%, and yeah, you're getting a heck of a deal on a great ball cap and a great 12-ounce vacuum sealing mug. They also have an 18-ounce tumbler. They also have a burr grinder if you like to grind your own coffee, and a lot of that stuff's really cheap. So make sure you use the link down below in the description of the video, and you can save yourself 5%. You can support a great American business, and you can support this channel. I would really appreciate it. But with that being said and out of the way, let's move on to today's review of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, issue number 10. Okay, with that sip of coffee out of the way, let's jump into G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, issue number 10. Issue number 10 came to us in April of 1983 and is entitled A Nice Little Town Like Ours. Written once again by the famous Larry Hama, penciler Mike Vosberg, inker Chick Stone, colorist Christine Scheel, letterer Joe Rosen, editor Denny O'Neil, and editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. We start the issue with a bird's eye view of a large building in Midtown Manhattan that is identified as a Cobra stronghold. On top of the roof of this building, we have Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Zap trying to infiltrate from the top of the building. Meanwhile, we have Hawk, Flash, Short Fuse, Rock and Roll, and Clutch on the ground level waiting to enter the building once the above team has managed to get in, as well as below ground in the sewers, we have another strike team of Stalker, Breaker, and Grunt. And a special note is, for whatever reason, Grunt is wearing Flash's gear in this issue. Not sure what's up with that. Baroness, who is inside this stronghold, is alerted by a Cobra trooper who is quickly reprimanded for not giving the proper Cobra salute to the Baroness. She is alerted that these G.I. Joes are on the top of the building, but the Baroness, with a push of a button, manages to take care of those Joes on the rooftop by opening a secret hatch in which the three Joes plummet down below. They miss their check-in time, so that alerts Hawk and Clutch that something is up, and they break in through the main part of the building, while Stalker and his strike force have managed to get from the sewers into the basement, and the teams are rushing up to the top of the building to try to rescue Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Zap. And we quickly learn that the top of the building is actually an aircraft. That's right, it is an aircraft that the three Joes have fallen in. It has been sealed shut, and with a loud noise and a push of a button, again, by the Baroness, she has this thing for just pushing people's buttons, I guess, the aircraft takes off, and the rest of the Joes are helpless but to watch as their friends disappear. So now we cut to the interior of the aircraft with Snake Eyes, Zap, and Scarlet, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. The Baroness releases some poisonous gas, or I guess not poisonous, it's knockout gas, knocking out the three Joes. And when they come to, Snake Eyes is missing, but Zap and Scarlet are with a young boy inside of a jail cell. And Scarlet looks over at Zap, and he's melting. And she goes, "Why are you melting, Zap?" And then she looks at her hands, and she's like, "My hands are turning into claws." And then she notices that she's being attacked by bats, only to realize it's not bats, it's gargoyles. So she is having a full-on hallucination, and the Cobra troops that are there watching her say, "Yep, the gas is taking effect. She's starting to hallucinate, and this is Dr. Venom's doing." So we get our first mention of Dr. Venom here in this issue. Speaking of Dr. Venom, we go to another location which is listed as 5 miles away in the comic. And we see Cobra Commander and the Baroness talking with none other than Dr. Venom himself. And he is explaining the brainwave scanner. That's right, this is the debut of Dr. Venom and the famous or infamous brainwave scanner. And he's explaining to Cobra Commander how it works. And its first victim will be none other than Snake Eyes. The goal of torturing Snake Eyes will be to find out the location of the pit. Meanwhile, back with Scarlet and Zap, Zap thinks he's a turtle and that he's upside down and he can't get out of it. And Scarlet and Zap then complain about how hot it is. This makes a guard come forward and say, "Oh, would you like some of this cool water?" And he hands it through the grate to Scarlet and Zap, offering it to them. And the little boy quickly realizes that the hallucinogenic properties are in the water of the cup, and he actually takes the cup away from them and holds it up to the single dangling light bulb in the cell. And he makes mention that he read something in Scientific American that if you put light on certain things, it'll diffuse the properties of it, and that will probably work to make the water safe to drink. Back at the brainwave scanner, however, Snake Eyes is fighting this machine, and Dr. Venom's attempts to get those memories of the pit. And Snake Eyes is thinking of anything else that he can possibly think of. We see such things as his first job at a fueling station, when he went to prom, even more heinous memories like when the helicopter exploded that wound up disfiguring him. Dr. Venom congratulates him on being tough, but he doubles down and says, "Snake Eyes, you will eventually break this. You will run out of memories to think of, and then you will give me the location of the pit." And Dr. Venom actually turns out to be sort of correct, because as the memories come up more and more, we start seeing memories of Clutch and the Vamp and the Mobat. So we return back to Scarlet, Zap, and this young boy. The young boy is screaming nonsense suddenly. He starts screaming nonsense, and Scarlet and Zap are off to the side, just seemingly laid out. This causes the Cobra Troopers to say, "Hey, go check on the boy. He needs to go be seen by Dr. Venom," and ran through the brainwave scanner. However, this is a ruse that's been set up by Scarlet and Zap, and they quickly dismiss the two troopers that come in, and they wind up stealing their outfits, and all three exit the cell. They wind up getting above ground. They hijack a car, and they start driving around. As they're driving, the little boy's talking to them, and he says, "Yes, this used to be Springfield." So yes, we are in Springfield, the infamous Springfield. That this used to be a nice town until the soap people, he calls them, came up. And they say, "Well, what do you mean by soap people?" And he says, "These people that came in selling soap and other products, and it was just a huge pyramid scheme. And once they got people convinced to start helping them sell soap and other cleaners and whatnot, that's when the indoctrination began, and eventually the entire town turned into Cobra operatives, and the ones that resisted wound up just disappearing one day. And even the children are indoctrinated into the Cobra regime." And then he goes on to say, "The things you see in this town are not real. Any sort of circular sign you might see has actually got radar dishes in it. The Cobra arsenal is actually secretly held in mechanic garages. The pizza parlor has poisonous gas in it. So this entire town is a facade for Cobra." They pull up to Video World, and it's just a place you can rent VHS tapes for us that remember those sort of things. And he says this is actually Dr. Venom's lair. It seems normal, and they go inside, and it's just a whole bunch of kids in this Video World that has an arcade in it, and they're playing video games. And the children, or teens, whatever you want to call them, quickly realize that these two adults are out of place, they don't belong here, and they recognize the boy as a traitor, and they immediately start to turn on Scarlet and Zap and the boy. Even so much as that a video game that has a turret actually turns out to be a real working turret and begins shooting at the three. But we go back in the meantime to Dr. Venom's lair, and he's closer and closer to getting the answer from Snake Eyes, but Cobra Tech quickly says, hey, we've got issues going on upstairs. We need to go check out what's going on. It looks like the other two Joes have made their way here. So they leave, and these junior officers that have been attacking Zap and Scarlet, Dr. Venom goes, we don't need to do this. They're junior officers. If they really want to be in Cobra, they'll take care of this mess. We have to get back to Snake Eyes. When they get back to Snake Eyes, he is seemingly dead. And I guess one thing I did leave out mentioning earlier is that right before they left, his heart rate and breathing were becoming very erratic. And as they left, they actually saw, or actually on the monitor, was a memory of Snake Eyes with the Arashikage clan learning the secret on how to make your breathing and heart almost completely stop. So we know that Snake Eyes is now executed on this, and now that they're back, they think Snake Eyes is dead. And so Dr. Venom's mad, and he's like, help me get this body out of here. We'll go upstairs, we'll get one of the other two G.I. Joes, and they'll help us find out the pit. But as they go to get Snake Eyes unbound from the machine, he quickly becomes alert. He takes out the Cobra Tech. He hits Dr. Venom in the face with the Tech's gun, and he pulls on his mask and gets out of dodge, so to speak. He runs upstairs to Scarlet and Zap and the young boy and helps them eliminate the threat by shooting the generator that powers the turret so that the generator no longer can attack them. And the three go to the car and they take off, and they make their way to the municipal airport, Springfield Municipal Airport. So they get there, and they hijack the same aircraft that actually brought them there. They beat up the Cobra troops. They steal a Cobra pilot, and Snake Eyes is sitting there with the Cobra pilot as they're flying away. And the Cobra pilot secretly reaches up and has a small hand pistol up in his helmet, and he draws and shoots at Snake Eyes, missing Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes doesn't miss, though, and just unloads with his rifle on the Cobra pilot, which unfortunately, poor planning, I suppose, but when somebody's shooting at you, I understand. But he damages the controls to the plane. So the plane is now not flying very well. Zap tries to take over, and they're flying this plane through some heavy turbulence, but they do eventually make it to a seaport, and they're like, okay, we will bail out here, and the Joe team bails out of the plane, and as they're falling, they actually wind up landing on an Incredible Hulk, and it's actually like a cosplayer or a paid person for a new movie. They actually landed in front of a movie theater. And this movie theater is premiering the Hulk movie. So I assume that the Hulk movie with Lou Ferrigno was probably coming out at that time. And really the issue just ends with Scarlet, Zap, and Snake Eyes getting on a public bus to go back to Staten Island to Joe headquarters. And Scarlet says, it was awfully nice of that Marvel booking agent to give us bus fare. And while they're getting on the bus, the issue ends with the bus driver saying, hey, no weirdos on my bus, while he's pointing at Snake Eyes. And that's the end of the issue. I like this issue for two main reasons, and you probably know what they are. I like the fact that we got Dr. Venom and the Brainwave Scanner. Of course, these are... the Brainwave Scanner is like the trope of the G.I. Joe comics. If you're not aware, the Brainwave Scanner has been used so many times in G.I. Joe, and it's just this like thing Larry goes to. And I'm not knocking Larry for using it. It's just fun to see that where it actually originated from. And again, another issue where we get a lot of G.I. Joes in the beginning of it, but then they broke it down in this one. They stuck with just three Joes: Scarlet, Zap, and Snake Eyes. Very interesting to see those early things about Snake Eyes, his memories, We even learned that his family was killed, which we learn about later, even more so. But nice to see them doing some character building for Snake Eyes, who hasn't had much character building in this in these first 10 issues. So it was very nice to have that, and you can quickly see how Snake Eyes becomes the fan favorite moving forward. I mean, he dispatched Dr. Venom, he and the Cobra Tech very easily after being putting himself nearly to simulate death, I should say. But it was a fun issue overall. and I was really happy to read it, and it was really fun. Probably my favorite issue outside of the issues. Right now, I would say issues 1, 2, and 10 are my favorite issues I've read so far. But what about you? Drop me a comment down below. What did you think of this review? Have you read issue 10 ever? What did you think of it the first time you read it? Let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, it's been fun doing this, so make sure you hit that bell notification down below. Subscribe. I do these videos every single Monday, so if you want to see what issue 11 is going to be next week of G.I. Joe Real American Hero, stay right here, tuned into this channel. I'm Mark. You've been watching Coffee with Toys. I'll see you later.
Let's go.